Thank you for staying so late. Great organization, by the way. Congratulations to the organizer. This is one of my first events here in Sarajevo, and I see a lot of potential. Happy to collaborate also with Bosnia Agile, not just in this event, but also the previous one. But today what you see, it's a lot of vibe, a lot of energy, a lot of sharing of experience, goods and bads one. And when you look at this kind of vibe, more or less this is what we are trying to build within our organization as well, through the Agile practices. So people can really share, can get the input for improvement, but also can be, let's say, positively criticized. So my name is Kreshnik Halili. I am the CIO and CEO at Raiffeisen Bank, Bosnia and Hercegovina. I've been with the bank for many years now. We are like almost married together. And today I still have to share some information about our big family, maybe quickly one. Raiffeisen Bosnia and Herzegovina, it's part of a bigger family, which is Raiffeisen Bank International. We are one of the leading banks in CE market. To put some numbers and some perspective to give you, we have like 40,000 employees in our group, millions of customers, millions of systems. So there is a lot of vibe as well in our community and in our group as well. Same locally here in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We are one of the biggest banks, second in terms of assets and some other statistics. So we are a big brand as well, I have to say. And but you know, the brand is also what you believe that the brand is. It's internal perception and external perception. And today was a good question when one of the colleagues started, like, would you date your organization? And I have to share here a small story that I encountered in a Raiffeisen, but not in Bosnia, in a different country. And the question was exactly that. And they were doing customer research and asking the customers, what do you think about the Raiffeisen? And they were comparing us with some local banks that were really aggressive in pricing, calling, nice, responding to the customers. And the response from customers was like, I would really do an adventure with another bank, but at the end, I will decide to marry Raiffeisen. So this is also a sign of, let's say, of stability that we perceive to our Raiffeisen. As an organization that we think long-term, we are not short-term thinking. And therefore, also this topic of digitalization is very relevant for us as well. But when I talk about digitalization, this is a term now that it's been used in the last 10 years a lot around us, sometimes even misused. I always try, let's say, to visit some definitions out there for some bigger, let's say, influencers and companies in the market. And this is one, let's say, definition from the Gartner. And maybe some of you, they know the Gartner. They are one of the biggest influencing IT companies in the world. And if you read just slowly the definition, it says like digitalization is the use of digital technologies to change a business model and provide new revenue. Very, let's say, academic definition, if you want to say. Same goes with McKinsey. Maybe you know McKinsey as well. They also have their own definition of the digital, because there is a race out there somewhere who gives the best definition of the digital. And I'd say as well, like digital, it's about the technological and organizational processes, so on and so forth, to be agile and fast. I use also my own definition to simplify it as well. And my own definition is really to simplify so I can share with the rest. And digital, it's about making business better through technology. Simple as that. We're trying really to make our business change business model by use of technology. But the question is again, like, but what is going on with this technology? Hasn't this technology change started already 40 years ago when the mainframes entered the banks? And I would say that is correct. But in the last 20 years, there are some, let's say, phenomena happening around the technology. And one of the phenomena is the processors, the real processors that we have in our phones. And if we see in this small graph here, we can see how the price of processors is going down, but the power of processors is really doubling. So the price is going down, the power is doubling. This is one phenomenon. The second phenomenon is that same is happening with internet. The price of internet for megabit is going down. It's really going down. But the speed of the internet is going up as well. The data I'm providing here are from US, but they are very relevant with the data what is happening on the Europe as well. When you have this kind of combination that the processors are becoming faster and cheaper, internet as well is becoming, again, faster and cheaper, this has allowed us to use this technology and create things like phones, smartphones. These are the combination of that. The processor in the phone, it's getting faster, and at the same time, it's getting cheaper as well. So there is a huge value out there created by the price of processor and the speed that is going out there. Huge value. To make things even more interesting, the internet is going crazy on the speed on our phones. These are some information from 2009. Like 4G could reach 300 megabits per second. I remember back in time, 300 megabits was a backbone of some countries. Now we have that on our phone, here, just here. To make things even more crazy, 5G is coming soon. 50 gigabits per second. These are theoretical speeds. Maybe they are achieved in a lab. But they are possible. They are available in our processors. And all these combinations are really driving the digital forward. It's creating enormous value out there, what's happening. If we look just the smartphones alone, these are again US data. It took smartphone less than 5 years to reach 25% of US population. Less than 5 years, 25% of US population had a smartphone. Compared to electricity, that it took about 45 years. And this is that craziness of digital that is going on. The access, the value that we are creating. And this is how a happy family looks nowadays. Everybody has a phone. They discuss, probably also planning the lunch or the weekend through the phone or joint Viber or WhatsApp discussion. So I have a question here as well. I just wanted to ask, like, is there anyone in the audience that doesn't own a smartphone? You don't own a smartphone? Are you kidding? Okay. Damn, I thought I'm going to give you this chocolate to you. But the price is still here. Even if you find somebody in the hotel that doesn't own a smartphone, please invite them to get this chocolate. It's for that specific person. But as we can see, it's everywhere. And what is becoming with smartphones even more interesting, everyone wants to be present here in our pocket. Banks, social media, insurance companies, gambling companies, every company is fighting to come to our pocket, one way or the other. I don't want to go now in that area. There is a lot of reading that you can do about the economies of attention, like how this works, like how do we lose our attention on our phone, and everybody's fighting to get our attention in our phone as well. But phone is just one example of what are these fast processors are doing around. NFTs, blockchain, metaverse, AI, these are all results of powerful processors happening around, and the price that is going down. Even Sophie, the new humanoid, she's surprised of what's going on. A lot of changes going on out there, and this is enormous value. And of course, when there is a value, because there are some definitions there, everybody's now trying to capture this value. And by capturing the value is like how I'm going to turn the speed of processor into the money. There are some examples, for instance, when the Google started with Google search, they created enormous value because you could go there and search. But for Google, They had an issue because they couldn't monetize it. They couldn't capture this value. And maybe you read a lot of stories, how did this happen? But at the end, they moved into the advertisement, and now they are, of course, billion, because they realized how they can capture this value that they have created. But for some companies, as much as this is good, it's also, let's say, a disruption. It's headache. Come on, all these technologies coming up and down. What are we going to do about it? And there is this MarTech's law. I heard today somebody presented about the marketing, digital marketing. And this MarTech's law, let's say a chart created by this guy, Scott Brinker, and he puts things in perspective. In yellow, you can see the pace, how fast the technology is moving forward. And in blue, you can see how organizations are changing to really adopt such technologies. And it says, because this gap is so big between the change of technology and how much organization can really digest and adopt, he also, let's say, proposes at some point organization will need a reset. So you really have to reset if you want to stay relevant and if you want to keep up with new technologies in place. And they propose the reset in different ways. And one of the reset proposals is reorganization. And I think this whole event today, you talked about reorganization, Scrum, Agile, you name it. These are all practices of organization. They also propose a spin-off, which sometimes maybe it's the best option as well. Instead of really changing everything, why don't we just spin off and start from the scratch? We don't have to rechange. We don't have to convince people why Agile is good. Instead, we just tell them, let's move to the new one. We start from the scratch, and everybody is changing from the beginning. But the worst case is destroying the company. So you really lose the catch-up. You cannot really digest all this, and you become irrelevant for your industry. And we have seen these cases. Again, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, these are our simple examples. We talked about Nokia. Nokia is gone. We talked about BlackBerry. Everybody should have BlackBerry. BlackBerry is gone. Why they are gone? Because of this. They really couldn't keep up with new technologies as well. New practices of developing also new technologies. For Nokia is interesting because only after they failed, the management board knew that to debug or build an application on I think it was semantic operating system, it takes 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And this was revealed at the end. When everything failed, some developer said, yeah, just to let you know that we were slow because... And everybody ignored that factor. So looking at all these changes, reorganization, spin-offs, and so on and so forth, some advanced economies, they have already realized that what is going on. And why are some companies able to adapt and why some of them are not able to adapt? Why some of them can really adapt a small project and why some of them can really handle a big project? Well, there was a group of smart people, Agile practitioners, engineers, that they decided to have a nice winter vacation here in Utah, Lodge of Snowbird Resort. I have even to read that. And they decided, okay, things are going a lot around us. We have at least to come to some principles, not even principles, some agreement like how can we help the rest of the world that they can be faster. And they created these so-called Agile Manifesto. And I'm sure a lot of you here have heard them and read them. And they really wanted to simplify things. And they said, like, yeah, individual interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration, responding to change over following a plan. These were their manifesto. But at the end, they also said something else. They said, while we focus on items on the left side, we also should not, let's say, forget about the items on the right side. Because at some point, I even had a LinkedIn read by some colleague of us that he literally copied the manifesto and his LinkedIn post, and he said, we tried this, and this is creating some anarchy. So developers, they don't want processes anymore. They just want individual interaction. Nobody wants to talk about documentation because we are agile. We ignore everything. But things should be adapted to the context of that organization. Because what's applicable for our bank, which is very regulated in industry, does not necessarily apply for a startup that is building some gaming application, for instance. But what followed after this manifesto, it followed a number of frameworks, which then really further confused organization going through the change. You know some of them, you have seen some of them. This created even more confusion. And this became like some badge of pride. Are you Scrum? Yeah. No, I'm less. Forget about it. We don't talk with each other. Are you less? No, I'm safe. No, I don't care. So this now created, even if you go in LinkedIn, you see a lot of agile practitioners really challenging each other. Are you Scrum? Are you less? But bottom line, it really doesn't matter if you're trying to go with safe, less, Scrum. It's really matter what brings value to your business. How can you really adopt that to create more value to the business, to achieve the outcomes that you are planning? Because sometimes when you talk to some agile, let's say, evangelists, if you tell them we are skipping daily meetings, they will be depressed. Come on, you just destroyed everything. No, it doesn't work. No, this is not possible. But that's exactly agile as well. You really have to adopt it according to your context and your existing culture. In Raiffeisen, we are leaning a little bit to the Spotify model, but the other day I read, is there such thing as Spotify model? There were a lot of agilists discussing, like in a religious meeting. No, there's no such thing as Spotify model. Well, that's all good. Yeah, fine, digital, but point is like, can you share what's up with Raiffeisen? What is going on there? What are you guys doing here? Huh? And at Raiffeisen, yeah, we are challenged as well. The whole banking industry was challenged as well. Let's face it, banking industry was enjoying this wave of no digital. We could really make the decision. We could really make the gains on what's going on in the banking industry. I remember first time when we introduced back then we used to call it electronic banking, it was in 2003, but we were playing the game. We decided what customers can have. Hey, you can be in electronic banking, you can be in the branch. Today it's different. Today customers are demanding that. Huh? It's not that we banks are deciding, and this is becoming challenging now. Huh? But at Raiffeisen, we are trying to simplify our approach to all this digital noise that is going around. What we are doing, or let me rephrase that, we are in a journey, let's say, to decouple our organizations. Because we think banks have grown so big that they have become like tankers in the water. If you really want to change the path of a tanker, it requires a lot of effort, a lot of decision, and it's very, very slow. So what we are trying to do, more or less, we want to decouple. So instead of having this big tanker, we want to create smaller ships. That instead of driving the whole tanker with all these loads, we give these loads to small ships and we can easily manage them. Huh? And we are doing decoupling on the organizational level. But then what we are trying to do as well is also decoupling on the technological level. So these are the two layers that we are really focusing in Raiffeisen to respond to all this change that is happening around us. But when we decouple these small teams, we see them like football teams, like small football teams. And here is just, let's say, a small visualization, simplified one, of a typical football team. So you have a team here in the middle. You have the players, goalkeeper, midfielder, defender, striker. All of them have their position. You have a manager, maybe Jurgen Klopp. You have a captain, the guy that is in the field. You have a fitness coach. You have goalkeeping coach. So there are a lot of coaches around. We are trying somehow to replicate that with our streams as well. So we have our teams in the middle. We have QA testers, security professionals, developers, business analysts as a core team. But around it, we have, again, product owner acting like a small manager, scrum master acting like a captain, trying to give some control and directions to the team. And we have, of course, agile coaches and engineering coaches. So this is more or less how do we see our streams or squads as a small football teams. Now, speaking of football, of course, in every football team, as you know, maybe you don't know, there are responsibilities. You are a goalkeeper, you have responsibility. Up to the point that you have job description. You have signed a contract. I am a goalkeeper. And here I managed to find a job description of a goalkeeper from the internet. So, attending team meetings before the game. So goalkeeper signs a responsibility that I will attend the meeting before the game. It says the most immediate responsibility is defending the goal and preventing the ball from passing the goal line. This is the responsibility of the goalkeeper. It stays there. This is my responsibility. The last line is more interesting that I found it in these websites. Goalkeepers with ability to play with ball with their feet are becoming essential in the modern game. This is like full stack developers. So you can do all things at once. You can play and also you can do some defending as well. So these are the responsibilities of the goalkeeper. Now, as promised, let's try to watch a football game shortly. This is Liverpool and West Brom playing in 2021 Premier League game. I hope this will start. So it's very intensive game. There's no voice, but I'll try to be a commentator. And there you go, West Brom scores 1-0. Very intensive game. Liverpool was fighting from the Premier League. And then there are a lot of chances. I see these chances like tentative to put products in the production, releases. So they keep trying. West Brom is very challenging, although it's a low-level team. But at some point, Liverpool manages to score. 1-1. Very intensive game. And then a lot of chances happen in the game. Liverpool is trying to beat West Brom. They really want to beat West Brom. Then there is a goal. The goal is not. It was an offside. A lot of stress. So again, the product doesn't go in development. Same goes with West Brom. The goal, it's not being recognized. And this intense moves on because they are, let's say, playing each other for a very serious competition. Same in daily activity. The banks are doing the same with their competition. Who is putting things more and more? And then we have here a goalkeeper coming in front and the goalkeeper scores. Goalkeepers decides to leave the goal, go in front, and scores. What happened to our job description here? Whoa, what are you doing here? Now, in a traditional organization, Alison would go and put a submit. Hey, can I be an attacker? Can I score a goal? And the response would be, well, maybe next week we have a committee. I would really tell you if you could bring your request to the committee, we can review it, and then we can decide if you are really allowed to score. Or maybe he would be punished for doing someone else's job. Or maybe he could take a totally defensive position. You know what? I did my part. I got only one goal. This is attacker's job. If they can score, they can score. If they don't score, guess what? I'm not paid to do that. My job description. But this is the essence of the real Agile team. That nobody looks at their position. They are looking at winning the game. This is important. And when you are really looking to win the game, then you don't care about your job description. You care, how am I going to win this game? What can I do here? What risks can I take? If you look at Alisson, he took a risk. If he wouldn't score, maybe the West Brom will take the ball and just shoot it from on the goal. And then everybody will look at Alisson, but man, you should have been to the goal, not here. But he took a risk and paid off. But why did he take a risk? Because this is what colleague mentioned before, Edina, this psychological safety, that they agreed. They really agreed that here we fight to win. Here we don't fight to blame each other for responsibility, who does what. And now you can say, yeah, but this is a football team. Come on, they are flexible. They can make this decision. It's not so. This is the org chart of Liverpool. There is a whole organization behind this team, traditional one. They have CEO. They have shareholders. They have to report their profit and losses. They even have, because lately it's becoming very important for sports, data scientists, really huge investments in data. A lot of investments there. But you have nutrition, head of nutrition, kit management, so how do they look like, medical services, scouting, match analytics, coaching. And you think, come on. I mean, there must be a lot of decisions here going on, who should do what. But they have only one decision there. How can we help our team to win games? This is the only question that they need to answer every day. How can I contribute here to help my team win the game? Why? Because when Liverpool wins against West Brom, the whole organization wins. They sell more kits. Their share price go up. Even the betting on a background, somebody's betting. So that small game there contributes to the whole economy that's happening around that game. At Raiffeisen, we are trying more or less to do the same environment. We want to help our streams to win the games. So we are building organization around the streams, or our football teams. And we want to contribute and help these streams internally, not to look at their job description, but they really look how they can win the next game. And here we have this structure of a tribe in retail area, banking retail area. And we have some roles, like business owners, delivery managers, board of investors. And all they do is they look how we can help our streams win the games. And the biggest issue sometimes in every organization is decision making. Like Alisson, he made the decision. But let's face it, in some industries like banking, there are a lot of regulations. So we have to follow on that. So for us, as a structure around the stream, is to help sometimes our football teams move faster in the decision making. If they don't feel sure, we step there to help them make the decision and move on, win the game. But this was the organization part of our decoupling and the way that we want to decouple the Raiffeisen Bank here in Bosnia and Hercegovina. The next part is also the technological part. Because as a football team, when you play, you need your resources. You need your kit, you need maybe a ball, water, and all these supplements. But here as well, we believe that all our tribes and our streams, they need their tools. And they don't need dependencies. So what we are trying to decoupling also the technological level. And here we want every tribe to have their own systems. So when they make decision, they don't have to be dependent on some community or some committee. We really want them to be independent. It sounds easy, but trust me, there is a lot of hell of work going on right now to achieve some of these activities. A lot of investments going on. But how this decoupling looks like, I will just share a little bit our mobile banking, which is really using a top-notch technology. And here we have our decoupling. I don't want to go now into the details here, but we want to break all these big monolith systems that we have in the background into the smaller microservices. Why? Because if we have a football team, we give the microservices to them. Well, this is your part. You take care of them. And in the background, we have, another set of people in IT that are really supporting the Agile team to have security, to have availability, and so on and so on and so forth. But why are we doing all this? This is important as well. Huh? We are doing this because we as a Raiffeisen, as a group, we have set some visions in our mind. Huh? And one of the visions is that we are the most recommended financial service group in the Southeastern Europe or in every country that we operate. We transform continuous innovation into superior customer experience. So all these changes that we are doing around, we are really trying to do them and driven by this vision and by this mission. Because otherwise, if you don't have some purpose and some vision, then you are just, let's say, walking around and trying to achieve something because of the sake of achieving something, but not to really achieve something that will make difference for the bank and for the industry. But as much as you talk and try to change this and try that, and you fail, this was repeated many, many times by also our famous friend Peter Drucker, that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So as much as we try, and we try, then you forget that the culture will sometimes stop you. And this person, Torben Rick, he said, not that it eats it for breakfast, it eats it for lunch and dinner. Because the culture will eat your growth, your performance, your innovation. But when you really want to go through the culture, change the culture, you need the right people. You really need the right people in the team. If you are going through innovation and technical changes, you need people. You need the good people. If you want to be competitive and have the right football team with the right mindset, again, you're going to need more people. And to win the best games out there and to be really ahead of your competition, you're going to need people. So whatever you do, whatever you discuss today, in terms of technical stuff, in terms of agile changes, think about the culture and think about the people that you are relying the fate of your organization to drive this through. Because the people are the one that will make things running, things breaking, stop you, moving you faster. And as a closure, this is from our famous Darwin. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, and I would replace species with organizations that survive, nor the most intelligent, and I will also add not even the richest one, but the one the most responsive to the change. These are the organizations that will save. Remember the Martex law. Remember this definition. And remember that people are the one that makes difference. Thank you for your attention. It was really a pleasure to be here. It was really a pleasure to share this with you. And I can be, for now, open for questions. And still the chocolate is available here. So if you have a question, please let me know. We'd be happy to discuss and share even thoughts that you have in all these stories that is happening around us. Thank you.